Hey guys, welcome back for another video. What we're going to be doing today is we'll be looking at our top 25 week 6 matchups. The games are about to start. We'll be going over every single game, breaking down our picks and predictions for all of our top 25 matchups for week 6 of the 2024 college football season. Week 5 is in the books. Teams are getting deeper into conference play. We have a lot of really good games coming up. There's some really tough top 25 on top 25 teams coming up. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. Every week, we go over every single college football game, and we also do the same thing for every NFL game as well. We break down the money lines, the spreads, the over-unders. We'll also be doing that today. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed so you can follow along with us. So our week 6 college football picks and predictions. Let's go ahead and get things started with our very first game. We have 2 top 25 games on Friday night. The very first one at 9 p.m. on Fox Sports. 3-1 Syracuse visiting number 25 UNLV, who is 4-0 coming off that win versus Fresno State. They are new to the top 25. With them coming in here right now, they have a 79.4% chance to win this game. They are 6.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 57.5. This is a tough game. So the Syracuse Orange can throw the ball. They're one of the top 5 passing teams in the nation. They're averaging 33.8 points a game. 392.8 passing yards per game, 102.8 rushing yards. Their defense is giving up 22.5 points per game. But the big thing for them is Kyle McCord at the quarterback position. He is throwing for a lot of yards, just under 400 per game. He has a lot of touchdowns, but he does have a lot more picks this year than last season when he played for the Buckeyes. But if they're going to beat UNLV, it's obviously going to be vertically through the air for UNLV. They come in right now, they're averaging 45.3 per game, 154.8 rushing yards, 154.8 passing yards, 283 rushing yards. A solid defense, only giving up 13.8. But the big thing about them was their quarterback, Sluka, left the team due to some NIL confusion over $100,000. Williams stepped in last week. He threw for 189 yards, ran for 119 yards. He fit in perfectly, but we've only seen him play one game. That's the unknown here. I don't want anything to do with this game personally just because we haven't seen enough from Williams. He's only played one game. Yes, he lit it up versus a good team, but we don't have enough film of him yet. So I'm kind of going out on a leap of faith here. I have UNLV winning this one 31-27. Then our next matchup, also Friday night at 9 p.m. on Fox. 3-2 Michigan State Spartans. They'll be playing number 6 Oregon Ducks. They are 4-0. Oregon has a 92.5% chance to win this game. Massive favorites here. 23.5-point favorites. The over-under is 52.5. When you look at Michigan State, obviously they have Aiden Childs there, the 5-star quarterback. He has a lot of turnovers, 5 touchdowns, 8 picks so far this season. He's a 5-star. He's a young player, but he's been pretty sloppy so far. But Jonathan Smith is completely revamping this roster from the bottom up. Right now, they're averaging 21.8 points a game. Solid defense, only giving up 19 points a game. But Oregon Ducks were a top 5 team to start the year this season, dropped down to 9. They're slowly working their way back up. This is a top 5 overall roster. They have a top 10 offense. They have a top 10 defense. Dylan Gabriel was the Heisman frontrunner coming into this season. He needs to get back on track, but the offensive line, they need to get better, get him more time to get some passes in. The offensive line has kind of been patchwork this season. He hasn't really been pushing the ball vertically down the field, but that's just because they didn't have much time. But he is an elite-level quarterback. They have Johnson. They have Stewart. This is a very talented team on the offensive side. They're going to get better every week, and they have the Buckeyes coming up, so they definitely want to get things going. They're averaging 36 a game. 315.5 through the air, 152.3 on the ground, and they're giving up 18.8 points a game. I have Oregon cruising in this Big Ten matchup, winning this one 44-17. Then our next matchup, we're now moving on to our Saturday games on ABC at 12 p.m. We have number 9 Missouri Tigers 4-0 playing number 25 the Texas A&M Aggies. They are 4-1. This is a top 25 on top 25 matchup. Right now, Mizzou has a 51.9% chance to win this game, but it's the Aggies who are the Vegas favorites. 2.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 48.5. When you look at Mizzou, this is not as efficient of an offense as it was last season, but last season they had a top 30 offense, top 30 defense. Right now they're averaging 36.5 a game, 270.3 through the air, 206.5 on the ground. So still a very balanced offense. They have Cook, they have Burden, they have experienced veterans at the skilled position, and their defense is only giving up 12 per game. But their wins have been really close the last few weeks. Vanderbilt, Boston College. That hasn't left people with a lot of faith for this game. That's why they're a top 10 team, but they are still the underdog because they don't have a convincing win yet this season. They'll be playing the Aggies, averaging 29 per game, 170 through the air, 232 on the ground. Solid defense, a solid defensive line. They're giving up 18 a game. And right now, the Aggies have the number 7 overall roster, according to ESPN. Mike Elko, though, is refashioning this team in his image. They lost Connor Wegman, but Reed has really stepped in. Yes, they're not very good passing the ball, but this team can run it as well as anyone. I could go either way here, but I'm going to go with Missouri squeaking out the win here, 24-21, but this is one of those games that could easily go either way. The next matchup we're looking at 12 p.m. on Fox, 1-3 UCLA Bruins. They will be playing number 7 Penn State, who's 4-0. Penn State has a 95.4% chance to win this game. They are 28.5-point favorites. That's a massive in-conference spread. The over-under here is 46.5. UCLA, so Garbers has not been good at all at the quarterback position. They're only averaging 14.8 points a game, but they only have 57 rushing yards per game. You're not going to win very many games if you can only run for 57 yards, especially in a very physical, deep Big Ten conference. And their defense giving up 30.8 doesn't help them either. Looking at Penn State, this is a perennial top 10 team. Franklin knows how to coach. He has an elite staff here. They're going to be led by Tim Allen and their defense. They have a top 10 defense, but their offense is averaging 36.3. They're throwing for 254.3, running for 251. That is elite and extremely balanced. They have one of the best 1-2 running back combos in the nation. They have Drew Aller, who is flourishing in this new offensive scheme, and they're only giving up 11.5. They're going to dominate in the trenches. I have Penn State winning this one 41-16. The next game we're looking at is an ACC on ACC matchup on ESPN at 12 p.m. 4-1 SMU playing number 22 Louisville Cardinals, 3-1, coming off of that loss to Notre Dame, a one-possession loss, a game they almost had won. Right now, Louisville has a 67.1% chance to win this game. They are 6.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 56.5. This game could go either way because this is two offenses that could score. So it could very possibly just come down to who has the ball the final possession. Right now for Rhett Lashley and SMU, obviously they flipped quarterbacks and their offense has gotten back to the old way right now. Whether it was Stone, Jennings has fit in perfectly. Right now they're averaging 42.2 points a game. They're throwing for 222. They're running for 206. And their defense is getting better every week. They're only giving up 21.4 points a game. This is a team loaded with talent. They're new to the ACC. They want to make their mark with a ranked ACC win here. Then you have Louisville, who's having a really good season. Jeff Brom knows how to work the portal, knows how to adapt his playing style to the guys he has on the roster. They're averaging 41.5 points a game, throwing for 305.5, running for 178.5, and their defense only giving up 16 here. Louisville has the better defense. They showed that they can score on an elite defense as well when they did that versus Notre Dame. I have Louisville winning this one 34-30, but like I said, when you have two offenses who can score like this, it could very well come down to that final possession. Then next matchup, we're looking at a Big Ten matchup on CBS at 3:30. We have the 3-1 Iowa Hawkeyes playing number 3, the Ohio State Buckeyes, who sit at 4-0 undefeated. Right now, the Buckeyes have an 89.7% chance to win this game. They are 18.5-point favorites. That spread has been slowly coming down. The over in here is 45.5. For Iowa, this is a Kirk Ferentz-led team. He's the longest tenured coach in the country. They did change their offensive coordinator, but it's still the Iowa of old. They're not very good at scoring the ball. However, they do have one of the best running backs in the country. Caleb Johnson is going off every single game. Right now, they're averaging 32 per game, 156 passing yards, but they're running for 250.3 yards per game. Iowa's going to want to suck up clock, play great special teams. The way you suck up clock is you just line up and you run downhill. This game is going to be decided in the trenches. We know Iowa is going to have an elite top 10 defense. They have it every single season. Last year, though, their offense was 131 out of 132 teams. It was really bad. They are better this season, but not much better, and they haven't played a team like the Buckeyes yet, but their defense is going to play the Buckeyes tough. The Buckeyes, they average 48.8 per game. They're only giving up 6.8 per game. They have a top 5 overall roster. They brought back 8 starters on the number 3 defense last season. They have the best defense in all of college football. Their offense is loaded. Howard, Quinton Junkins, Henderson, Egbuka, Jeremiah Smith. They have first-round picks everywhere on this team. They throw for 313. They run for 228. They can beat you multiple ways. If they shut down the Buckeyes run game, they have the playmakers at wide receiver to beat you over the top. I have the Buckeyes winning this one 33-13. The next matchup we're looking at, an ACC matchup on ESPN at 3:30. We have number 12 Ole Miss 4-1 coming off of that loss to Kentucky. They want to get everything back on track this game. They want to get some revenge on someone to show that they still have it. A lot of people now thinking that they're overrated, but Lane Kiffin put all the chips in the transfer portal, brought in the number 1 transfer portal class. This is a very talented roster. They'll be playing 3-1 South Carolina. Right now, Ole Miss has a 75.4% chance to win this game. They are 9-point favorites. The over-under is 53.5. Ole Miss is still averaging 47.4, throwing for 401.2, running for 217. Their defense is only giving up 8.4 points per game. This is an extremely talented roster. They have Jackson Dart, they have Parrish, they have Trey Harris. They have playmakers at every single position and a solid defense. For South Carolina, though, they've made a living the last few years on beating and upsetting top 10 teams. You got to watch this game because if Ole Miss doesn't take the Gamecocks serious, they're going to lose here. South Carolina does this every season. They beat a highly ranked team. They almost beat LSU this season as well. Right now, they're averaging 34.3. They're throwing for 208.8. They're running for 192.3. They're giving up 17 per game. I have Ole Miss getting some things back on track, winning this game 38-21. But don't sleep on the Gamecocks. The next matchup we're looking at on ABC at 3:30 p.m. We have 2-3 Auburn. They have a lot of offensive issues. Hugh Freeze has a lot to work on there. They'll be playing 3-1 Georgia. The Bulldogs have a 91.2% chance to win this game. They are 22.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 51.5. You're probably wondering, why is that spread so high for an in-conference SEC game? Well, it's because Georgia lost last week to Alabama. You know, Kirby Smart rallied the team. They want revenge on someone. They want to get back on track. Whoever they're playing next, they want to curb stomp them to show that they still have it this season. It just coincidentally happens to be the next team they're playing is Auburn. So I do feel sorry for Auburn. Right now, Auburn averages 33.4. They throw for 309. They run for 171. Solid defense giving up 18.8. But Peyton Thorne and the offense has been going absolutely nowhere so far this season. They beat up the crappy teams. And basically, since they've played Cal, they have not been good at all on the offensive side. Georgia, they need to get the offensive line right. They need to get the running game right. Carson Beck has to make smarter decisions. They're only averaging 13.3. Throwing for 311. They're only running for 129. When's the last time a Georgia team only ran for 129? Fix the offensive line, get the running game going to compete for the rest of the season in the SEC. But Georgia still has an easy shot to make the playoffs. So there's no concern there. And they're only giving up 14.8. I have Georgia enacting revenge on Auburn, even though it's not their fault. I have Georgia winning this one 37-13. The next game is a Big Ten on Big Ten matchup at 3:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. 5-0 Indiana undefeated. Welcome to the top 25. Cignetti really has this team rolling, especially on the offensive side. They'll be playing 2-2 Northwestern. Indiana has an 84.9% chance to win this game. They are 14-point favorites. The over-under here is 41.5 for Indiana. Like I said, their offense is rolling. They're averaging 48.8. Throwing for 309.4, running for 210.6. Who knew that they would be this good this season? Props to this team for coming out of nowhere and rounding out a very deep Big Ten conference. And their defense, only giving up 13 points a game. Props to them there. For Northwestern, they're having issues on the offensive side still. They're only averaging 17.3 per game. They're passing for 163.8, running for 136, but still a solid defense giving up 15.8. When you have a defense playing like that, look for this first half to be close, but Indiana's offense should be able to wear them out and control the second half because Northwestern is going to have issues getting first downs. I have Indiana winning this one 30-16. The next game we're looking at now, the number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide 4-0 at 4:15 p.m. on the SEC Network. They'll be playing 2-2 Vanderbilt. How does Kalen DeBoer and squad respond after that emotional win this past week versus Georgia? Now all eyes are back on Bama. Not much has changed since Saban retired. I think they'll be just fine. There's a massive talent gap here. This game should not be close in any way whatsoever. Bama has a 92.1% chance to win this game. 23-point favorites, over-under 54.5. They have the Heisman front runner Milroe right now. They have Williams. They are cruising. They can beat you multiple ways. They're averaging 47 a game, 278 through the air, 222 on the ground. Their defense is only giving up 15. This is the number one overall roster according to ESPN. They are loaded, and DeBoer is going to stay on the gas the whole season on the offensive side. For Vandy, they are having a better season. They're averaging 37. They're giving up 23.3. But like I said, this game should not be close. I have Bama winning this one 43-14. The next matchup at 7 p.m. on Fox Sports 2, 1-3 Utah State playing new to top 25, number 21 Boise State 3-1. I've said since the season started, Boise State deserved to be ranked. Boise has a 96.6% chance to win this game, 27-point favorites over under 65.5. Utah State, they average 21.5. They give up 36.3 points per game. That is awful. They give up just under 200 rushing yards per game, and they'll be playing one of the best running teams in the country. That does not add up to be nice. Boise averages 47.8. They throw for 222.3, but they run for 302.5 yards per game against a team that basically has no defensive line. They don't have a defense either. They are giving up 30 per game, but Utah's offense is not good enough to be able to exploit that. Boise State has Janty at the running back position. He has 13 rushing touchdowns through 4 games, 900 rushing yards. He's on pace right now for 2,700 rushing yards, 39 touchdowns. That's obviously not going to happen, but that's what he's on pace for. He is a potential Heisman candidate. He might have already booked his ticket to New York if they keep that up. Boise's looking to represent the group of 5 in the final 12 for the playoff. I have them rolling here, winning this one on the ground, through the air, winning it 47-17, this game not being close. The next game we're looking at is an ACC matchup. Should have been the game of the year for the ACC, but Florida State's just not any good. At 7 p.m. on ESPN, number 15 Clemson, 3-1. Since the Georgia loss, they have been rolling. They will be playing 1-4 Florida State, who's basically going nowhere. They have no shot to even make a bowl this season. Right now, Clemson has a 79.8% chance to win this game. They are 14.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 46.5. Clemson, Klubnik, Maffa, Williams, they have been moving the ball vertically. They've been moving the ball on the ground. Year 2 under Riley, since game 1, has looked completely different. Props to Dabo, props to Riley. They have the number 8 overall roster. According to ESPN, they're averaging 42 points a game, 284 through the air, 179.3 on the ground. Their defense is giving up 25.8. They have a top 10 defense. Look for that number to continue to come down as we go game by game through the season. Florida State, they have virtually no offense. They're only averaging 15.2 per game, 229 through the air, 65 on the ground, which was supposed to be their strength, was their running game and their defensive line, but their defense is giving up 24.6 per game. They're giving up 166 on the ground. That was their strength, was their D-line. It did not turn out that way. I said before the season started, bringing in DJU was a mistake. It was. He's now playing his old team, and it's not going to be revenge. It will be revenge for Clemson. And they could also go with Glenn as the quarterback, who I'm pretty sure is going to start this Saturday. It won't really matter. Glenn, DJU, you don't want your first start to be versus a angry Clemson team. This game's not going to be close. I have Clemson winning this one 33-16, and Florida State getting some garbage time scores. This next matchup is an under-the-radar fun one. At 7:30 p.m. on ABC, number 4 undefeated Tennessee Volunteers 4-0 versus 3-2 Arkansas Razorbacks. Tennessee has an 82.2% chance to win this game. They are 13.5-point favorites. Over-under is 56.5. Tennessee can score. Some people think they are the number 1 team. Yes, they haven't really played anyone. They played the Sooners, but the Sooners are not a world beater. But Tennessee, they can beat you on offense, defense, special teams. They can beat you running the ball, throwing the ball. They can beat you by defense. They're averaging 54 points a game, throwing for 279.5, running for 290. They have the best offense, the most balanced offense in all of college football, and their defense is only giving up 7 points a game, and they have a top 10 defense, and they're top 10 in sacks right now for Arkansas. Pittman has a much better team than usual. And of course, he has Bobby Petrino calling plays, who's one of the better offensive minds in all of college football. They're averaging 35.8. They're throwing for 300.4. They're running for 212.0. And they are giving up 20.2 points a game. If Tennessee comes off the bye sloppy this week, Arkansas can punch them in the mouth. Do not sleep on this game. Arkansas is a very competitive team. They should have beat Oklahoma State. They should be undefeated right now, but they lost that game. But this is a tough team. They can run it. They can throw it. They can match you blow for blow. But I have Tennessee ultimately winning this one. They have Nickel. They have Samson. They have Squirrel White. They have multiple weapons, multiple ways to beat you. I have Tennessee winning this one 34-20. The next matchup we're looking at, a Big Ten matchup, 7:30 p.m. on NBC. Number 10, Michigan Wolverines. They're back in the top 10. They probably shouldn't be a top 10 team right now, but they're in there. They're 4-1. They'll be playing 3-2 Washington Huskies, new to the Big Ten. Right now, Washington has a 57.8% chance to win this game. They are 1.5-point favorites. Over-unders 41.5. If you're wondering why I said Michigan does not deserve to be in the top 10, they are the top 10 playing an unranked team, and they're the underdog. So that just lets you know how much Vegas and the people have confidence in Michigan right now. Michigan cannot throw the ball. Whether it's Warren or Origin, neither of them can throw the ball accurately past 5 yards. They beat the Trojans with like 32 passing yards. That's fine that you won that game, but that gives me zero confidence for you to compete in the Big Ten versus Penn State, the Buckeyes, the Ducks. You have to be able to at least throw the ball for 100 yards to be a top 10 team. Right now, they're averaging 24.8. Solid defense, though. A top 10 defense talent-wise. They're only giving up 21.4. Washington is a surprisingly decent team for the amount of prospects that they lost last season when they made their national championship run to that game. Will Rogers has come over from Mississippi State. This guy knows how to play top 10 defenses. He played for 4 years in the SEC. They have Fish as the head coach, averaging 25.2. Throwing for 306.6, running for 173.2, and a solid top 15 defense, only giving up 12.4. They're at home. They could punch Michigan in the mouth. They have the defense. They have the experienced veteran quarterback. Michigan has the defense. They don't have the quarterback, but they do have Mullings. I have Michigan winning this one, 20-17, but watch this game because this is a sleepy game to where Washington is more than capable of beating Michigan. All you have to do to beat Michigan is sometimes just score 20 points and you could easily win it. The next matchup, also a Big Ten on Big Ten game, 7:30 p.m. The Big Ten Network. Number 11 USC 3-1, playing 2-3 Minnesota. Right now, USC has a 62.8% chance to win this game. They are 8.5-point favorites. The over/under is 49.5. USC, Lincoln Riley is the best offensive mind in all of college football. They have Miller Moss, they have Marks, they have Lane, a deep wide receiver core. Deonta Lynn has worked wonders with that defense. They now have a top 20 defense statistically. They are averaging 34.3 points per game, 325.5 through the air, 143.8 on the ground, and their defense is solid, tackling well, they're fast, they're giving up 17 a game. They'll be paying PJ Flex team. They're averaging 26 points a game, 242 through the air, 101 on the ground, and a top 15 defense as well. They're only giving up 15.4. Minnesota's well coached. They have a solid defense. They're at home. Whenever you play them, you have to be prepared for a trench battle. I have this game being close first half, but USC, just like when they played Wisconsin, they will own the third and fourth quarters. I have the Trojans winning this one 30-21. Then our second to last game at 7:30 p.m. on Fox, a Big 12 matchup, 2-3 Baylor. Back-to-back weeks of heartbreaking losses here. They've gotten so close, they don't know how to close out the games. Dave Aranda's seat is extremely hot right now. They'll be playing 4-0 undefeated number 16 Iowa State. Iowa State, a 76.6% chance to win this game. 12.5-point favorites. The over-under is 44.5. This kind of has the ringings of a potential loss for Iowa State. This could be an upset alert game because Baylor's played close. They want to get the win. Iowa State could get caught sleeping here. I don't have that happening. Matt Campbell is a great coach. Baylor, they're averaging 29.4, 239 through the air, 146 on the ground. They're giving up 20.2. Their defense has been playing solid, but their offense disappears the final quarter. That's what's costing the last couple games. For Iowa State, they're averaging 28.3, throwing for 241.8 with Beck. They're running for 163. A elite defense right now, a top 10 defense, giving up 7.3. That's what's going to make the difference here is the battle in the trenches. They can throw, they can run. I have Iowa State seizing the win here, 28-17. Baylor still cannot close the game out. And our final game, this is a fun one and an odd one at 10:30 p.m. That's right, 10:30 p.m. on ESPN, the College Game Day game. We have Miami 8 in the country, 5-0 undefeated, traveling all the way from South Florida all the way to California, 10:30 at night, playing 3-1 Cal. Don't sleep on Cal here. They have a pretty solid team. Miami has a 71.7% chance to win this game. 10-point favorites. Over under here is 53.5. That's been ticking down. Miami has the number 10 overall roster according to ESPN. They are loaded. Cameron Ward, Martinez, Fletcher, Lyle, Restrepo, George, Horton, Williams, Arroyo. There's playmakers everywhere. They have a top 10 offensive line. They've only given up 5 sacks this season. They have a top 10 defensive line. They might be getting Ruben Bain back already, and they're already top 5 in the nation for sacks. Their rushing defense is only giving up 93 yards. This is an extremely talented team under Mario Cristobal, but there's going to be some jet lag here, them going all the way to the West Coast. This game is going to end at like 2 a.m. in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. How do they handle that? Thankfully for them, Martinez and Ward are both from the Pac-12. They played at Cal before. Nothing to worry about here. Miami, they average 49.4. They throw for 399.6. They run for 193. A top 3 defense only giving up 15 points per game, and they get after the quarterback. Cal has virtually no offensive line. Right now, they average 23 points a game, pass for 250, run for 145.8, but their defense could keep them in the game. They're only giving up 12.8 points per game. They've played a lot of teams really close. I think the difference here is Miami's defensive line is extremely aggressive. They're going to be all over Cal. They will not have the physicality to be able to keep up with them for 4 quarters. Not 1 quarter, not 2. It's 4 quarters of physicality. I have Miami winning this one 38-16. So that's our breakdown, our picks and predictions for week 6 of the college football season. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. If you have any comments, drop them below and I will respond. Thank you.